This is Karen with My I'm Possible Dream, and I am with Joy today. And we're going to be talking about a subject that may be a little sensitive to some people. Hopefully, you'll understand the sensitivity of it, but at the same time, find some joy in the subject, because we're not about to depress you. We're here to help you understand depression, because I believe we all have a sense of depression in our lives. So Joy, welcome to My I'm Possible Dream. And the reason I asked you to be here is because you've brought joy to my life. You've made me feel less depressed, even though you yourself have suffered from depression. And as you just told me, for a good majority of your life. So let's take a trip down memory lane. And when do you think it all began?
Depression?
Yeah.
Probably early. And one of my counselors said probably could have been diagnosed about 8, 9, 10, that early.
So when you were still quite a child?
Yeah.
Did your family recognize it?
No. I didn't recognize it till well into my 20s.
So when you recognized it, what did you feel?
What did I feel? A kind of a mix of relief and at the same time kind of horror, because depression is a mental illness. Mental illness has a stigma, but at the same time you've got an answer to what's going on. What is going on in my head is actually real, or what was happening is real. And you have not quite as much as an answer as what's going on, as much as a reason. It gave us a name of what was going on. At the same time, it kind of enlightened, I guess.
Okay. And I can understand that. So here you are in your 20s, and you're sort of now enlightened that you sort of have a name for this. Many people will walk around using the word depression to label any kind of sad
Sadness.
Feeling.
Yeah.
But as you and I both know, it's more than just feeling sad.
Yeah. I've always said it's like a world of its own. It's like a prison. It's an emotion you can't change. It's a feeling that comes on. I've always called them demons. They're like demons that attack you, and you have to be the warrior and fight them. And it's like I said, I've called it your own prison. And but somebody will say, well, do something that makes you happy. Okay.
What is it? Yeah.
I'll do something. My therapy, my happiness is gardening. I can get out there, but there's days that I'm out there and that can just be nope, this ain't working. You're just that far into depression. It's not as simple as snap your fingers and get out of it, because it's always there, beating you down, beating you down, beating you down. It's not like if something happened and it made you sad. You have a sad feeling, and then you go buy something.
Yeah.
Now I feel good.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
It's interesting. I love how you said, people will say, well, just snap out of it. I have a 95-year-old mother, and last year when I was going through my deepest depression, I didn't really want to tell her too much about it, but we were going to Michigan just at the time that I was being diagnosed, and so we decided that we had to share it with her. And my husband is the one who sat her down and tried to describe it to her. And she acted like she totally understood. And so she pulled me to a side and she goes, "Okay, get over it." And I said,
Okay.
If I knew what it was to get over, just like you're saying, I would. I said, but I have this overwhelming feeling and I don't know exactly what it is. And as you and I described earlier, I was blaming my job, and my job didn't help me. The people I was working with didn't help me. But it wasn't necessarily their fault. It was a combination of things. Did they understand me? No, they didn't. Did they try to understand me? No, they didn't. Was it their responsibility to? That I'm not going to go into. But it didn't help that I was working in a situation where I felt like the odd man out. And therefore, I couldn't heal in that situation.
Depression, I don't even know what I was saying. Depression isn't something that's easy explained. It's not something that people understand right off the bat. It's hard to explain yourself. I mean, for me to explain, it's hard for me to explain.
Right.
How do you explain something when you don't understand it?
Exactly.
How do you explain something when, some people can do something and then they're okay, and then they're better, and then they're out of it. Depression is that, okay, I do something makes me happy. We're okay. I'm not out of it. It's still beating me down.
Yeah.
It's still there. It's 24/7. It's 24/7 there. So you have to find an inner peace. You have to fight from the inside out. If everything around you is going to hell, you find a light somewhere. Get away from that and go somewhere else. You'll walk away from something that's pulling you down because it's only going to feed your demons. You need to walk away from it. Although there's times it's better to feed your demons, keep them well fed. Hopefully they'll leave you alone.
They'll leave you alone. Yeah. Well, that is true. And as I also shared with Joy, that because we did work in the same office, one of the things that helped me in that environment was that I would come up every single morning, and again, I don't know if it was her name or the fact that she always had a smile on her face, even if her demons were attacking her, but I knew that that was my sunshine, that was where I got my relief every single day. And when I was feeling bad at my desk, I could reflect back and say to myself, okay, remember Joy's smile, remember her laugh. Those were the things that got me through. And today I still do very similar things. And as I read your posts on Facebook, I almost get the feeling that you have little things that you try also during your day that, yes, they don't always work, like you said, but every once in a while you reach out into the air and you try one of those things that are going to at least make you smile for a couple of seconds.
Seconds of earth.
And it's not just you in the family that has depression.
No.
So even though they say it's really not hereditary, I truthfully believe it is hereditary.
I think it is a little bit. I truly do. And I feel when somebody is having a rough time, and instead of walking away from it, I go to it. What's the matter? How are you? What's going on? I can feel it. And it's constant. I feel that empathy. What is it?
Empathy.
Empathy for
Yep.
something.
Yeah.
And I feed that, and I try to. It's hard to explain. I try to go towards it. Don't fight it. and find out. For me, it helps to help somebody else, because that's where I get a good feeling. And that's one of the reasons why I'm in school now to be a horticulture therapist, because I want to work with young men with mental illnesses. I feel with my son Bradley having bipolar and that depression and all that, I feel I can work with the young men and having my own issues, help them overcome what's going on or figure out what's going on. And a horticulture therapist, being my therapy, is the garden and watching things grow and all that. If you get nothing else out of helping or seeing something, if you get nothing else out of depression, grow something and see what happens. Eat a cucumber. Remember when I, freeze something in the middle of January, make zucchini cookies. I grew them organically when I had the worst day of my life. The depression was bad. Now I'm making cookies. So you move forward. Keep going, keep fighting. Always find something to...
Even when you're moving forward, we all know that we're going to slip a little bit backwards.
And because hit a brick wall sometimes. When my granddaughter Eliana passed, it's the worst. I've always had depression, always had suicidal thoughts. My worst case was probably in my late teens. Drug, alcohol binging, and I ended up getting pregnant with my first son. He saved my life. Because if that didn't happen, I probably wouldn't be here. I would have drunk myself, whatever. His name is Matthew. And Matthew means a gift from God. There's times that you hit bottom and you think you've hit bottom. No. You're going to hit it again.
Right.
But you got to keep crawling. And when Eliana passed, I have never had any suicidal thoughts as worse as they were that day. It was she passed on the 1st, and it was April 11th that it was scary, because I lost myself. And time, you're always fighting the demons, but the demons just took over. And I remember that evening, because it came on. Tuesday was bad, Wednesday was really bad, Thursday was the worst. And I was going between suicidal thoughts and actually seeing myself. I knew what I was going to do, how I was going to take myself off this world. I knew it.
So you had a plan.
Oh, I did. And the razors were in the back room, and I fought hard not to go get them. And then I was cycling between going to go get them and fighting it. And it was like back and forth. And it's not something that, it's hard to explain. It was like a battle in me. And it was 1 second this and next. And I'd have, every once in a while, I'd have a lucid thought. It's like this, you got to fight this, keep going. And then I'd struggle again with, I knew I'm going to take myself out. And one time I had this one little, and I had the phone in my hand, and I had this one thought of fighting, keep fighting. And I called Bradley, as my son with bipolar. And all I could get out was, I need you. I'm sitting in my bed, fighting hard not to go get those razors, and he was up there in a heartbeat. I would not be here if it wasn't for him. No matter what, I have been fighting this. I'm 51, and I've been fighting it since, 40 years. I've never been that low in my life. Never. But if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. But it's still, if it wasn't for continuing trying to fight and finding reasons to keep fighting, you're not going to be here. Hit a brick wall, you turn around and use the wall to push off and keep going.
None of us know what life is going to deal us.
No.
And, when Alex and I created my I'm Possible dream, there were some people out there who said to us, you know, dreams, they don't come true. And I said, but if we don't dream, we have no opportunity to have the things in life that we want. And I'm not talking about the material things. Material things are great, but we all want to have love, affection. We want to feel that we're achieving something each day. And achieving doesn't necessarily mean getting the next promotion or necessarily getting an A in class. It might mean just passing our class. It just means achieving, taking one step in front of the next. And sadly, we live in this world where people don't want to be honest. And yet last year, and it's almost a year to the day, a couple days after, that Robin Williams took his own life.
Somebody you think had everything.
Exactly. You know, he made us all smile, he made us all laugh, and we knew that he had money and he had family, and people looked up to him, and he was just the epitome of everything. And yet, here was a man that most of us didn't even know had a debilitating illness. Plus, he suffered from depression on top of this debilitating illness that he saw himself dying from. And it was his choice to take his life, sadly. But we don't know exactly why, and it's not for us to judge. But what it is for us to do is to live our lives to the best that we can, and to be aware of the people around us, and to throw a lifeline.
You saw my post. You don't understand it, that's fine. You don't know what to say, that's fine. If somebody's down, all you have to do is sit next to them. Just be there. Send a text. How you doing? Everything okay? Do you need anything? Those little things. In the one post, it's I could be called stubborn.
Yeah.
I like to do. I'm an individual. I don't want to. I don't. But every once in a while, to have a text. Are you okay? Or on Facebook, somebody might message me. You okay? Everything okay? It's like, yeah. That's all I needed. That little bit of knowing there's 20 people out there, even one person. And I've never been one. I've always said, you don't judge. You're not no judge or jury on this world. You just be there for somebody. Don't question sometimes. You just say, I'm here for you.
And we have to stop judging ourselves too.
Oh yeah.
And I think sometimes and I know for myself, I've created my own problems in the past. I've brought myself down that depression path when I didn't have to.
Because you let the outside judge you and you take that.
Exactly. And again, I can go back to my last job. I was trying to be so right, so perfect, and to be there for everybody, that I was closed off from what was really happening to myself. Maybe I was appreciated. I don't know. I didn't hear it.
Best thing for depression is to tell yourself you're okay.
That is a very good remark. Tell yourself you're okay.
You're okay. What everybody else thinks, says, whatever, whether you're overweight, whether you're, whatever it is, you're still okay. You're okay.
I read something the other day and I posted it online. And I know for our initiative, it says, impossible means I'm possible. But I found the word imperfect. And imperfect really means I'm perfect. And
Cool.
as soon as I saw that, I really liked it. And especially now, because I'm perfect the way I am. And if you don't like me the way I am,
That's okay.
it's okay. And I'm sure I'm not exactly the way everybody would like me to be, but then again, you aren't exactly the way I want you to be. But that's okay too, because there are no two snowflakes that are identical.
And
So
that's
why
wild.
should two people be identical? And
How boring would it be if we're all identical?
oh, exactly. Exactly. And I think if we could accept people more. I mean, I'm watching poor Bradley, who seems to be a little bit bored with us, but you know, I understand the bipolar side of it, especially with Alex, that there are times that his brain is just going so full force that it's not that he's really angry, but his brain just can't decipher what's going on. And so
Overload.
is exactly his overload appears to make him look angry or react in that manner. And so I sometimes think when somebody is diagnosed bipolar, we automatically read into it. And to me, I would love to get rid of that
Stigma.
state, yes. And I'd like to get rid of that name bipolar, because I just don't like how people judge people with it.
I think people are going to judge no matter what.
Well, I'm sure they will.
So you just have to deal. You just have to take it day by day. Sometimes it's minute by minute, but if you have a good outside force, even if it's one person, you can do it.
Well, I know you have a good, strong family unit. You've got your mom. You've got Bradley. Although at times I know that's even a struggle too, because you're taking care of your mom, you're taking care of Bradley, you're trying to take care of yourself. You have family in Columbus, you're trying to see the grandkids, and you're going to school.
Full time.
So,
I like to punish myself.
yeah. Well, you're punishing yourself, but also you're doing good things for yourself.
My good things for myself, I see in the end, is if I can help one person once I become get my horticulture therapy going, if I can help one person, that's worth it. It's the same with doing this. If I can help one person, it's worth it.
But as you're helping that one person,
I help myself.
and that's the important thing. And that's why when Alex allowed me to take the name of his initiative and turn it into the podcast, I can't thank him enough for that, because getting out there and talking to people like yourself, even talking to people who are starting up small businesses and finding their dreams, it gives me the opportunity to explore myself better, but it also makes me realize how grateful I can be about life. And if I am feeling down at that moment, it perks me up. And like you said, even if it's for a second or a moment,
Take it.
you take it and you run with that.
Yep.
I saw on Facebook the other day that out of sadness comes a rainbow.
Ugh.
So there are going to be 2 new babies in this family?
It is so weird, because last January was Eliana and Kylie, my daughter and my oldest son, due in January. And this is the exact same scenario. Only this is, Matthew, my oldest, Matthew, Naomi, and Brandon, my third child, is expecting his first. Both are girls. Both are due in January, and both are due within like a week of each other. Same thing. It's like crazy.
Well, but exciting crazy.
It is, but it brings back memories of Eliana.
Well,
I mean, holding Kylie for a while was hard because
I'm sure.
they were due within 5. I mean, everything. It was so. I mean, they found out they were pregnant almost within a week of each other. Then they found, within the same week that they were expecting girls. And then they found out, it was just, everything was like right on with each other. And the hardest part was, out of all this, and I had the vision over and over. And it may sound a little, I don't know, but this is what I pull from it. I remember sitting in the back of the funeral home with Kylie. Kylie would have been 3 months old. And I'm holding her, and Meredith and Terry's to the right of me, and I look all the way down at the end, and I see Matthew leaning into this tiny, tiny little coffin. And they always say that the smallest coffins are the heaviest. And I look down at Kylie, and I look up and see what he's going through. And it will bring tears, and it's hard, but at the same time, it's a stepping stone to keep going. We got 4 months with Eliana. Thank God we got the 4 months we did. They didn't expect her to survive.
Right.
And it kind of bothered me to have Kylie, and it reminded me, but now it's like, I look at her and I see them both. So it's like this, I'm depressed a couple weeks ago, and I'm just crying. And I look down at my feet because I watched Kylie and Connor over the summer. I look down, and she looks up at me with the biggest smile.
Aww.
And I'm like, I see both of them. I'm like, how can I be this depressed, crying, when that's at my feet?
Yeah.
You just pick her up and smush her. And you just keep going. You just keep going.
Well, I do believe Eliana is with all of us. She is, other than the pictures I've seen of her, other than the posts that both you and Naomi have had out there about her, I know that she's a guardian angel.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure that it's because of her there's this new baby coming back in your lives.
It's just unbelievable. It's like God works in mysterious ways.
Absolutely.
They're due. I mean, it's just, everything just mimics all last year, But they both had chromosome testing. Everything looks good. Everything looks great. So,
well, we will continue to pray that everything will continue to go well. We, like I said, their guardian angel is going to look over them. And as we go through life, depression is part of living. And
it is. Sadness is part of living.
Absolutely.
You have to deal with it. Depression is part of living, and some of us, that's just worse than others. And you just have to keep fighting. I've been there. I've hit the wall more than once.
And I just ask all those that listen to this, please don't minimize it. Don't go up to somebody and say, get out of it, or go take a walk and you'll feel better. You don't know what's going to make them feel better. You can guide somebody, that's fine. You can ask somebody if they want to go for a walk with you.
I think the best thing to do is just say, I'm here. Do you want me to sit with you? You need me to sit with you? You don't have to say anything. A lot of times, a lot of people don't know what to say when depression hits. What do you say? I don't know what to say. Sometimes you're better off not to say anything. Just be there. That's all you need.
I know, in the beginning, my husband loves going to the comedy club. So he would ask me, do you want to
medicine.
Yeah. when he would ask me if I wanted to go to the comedy club. In the beginning, no, I did not want to go to the comedy club. Why didn't I want to go to the comedy club? I was not ready to laugh. Truthfully, I wasn't. But then one day, he asked again, and I finally said, and it just came out just like this, I'm ready to laugh. Yes, let's go. And he looked at me very strangely, and I just said, I wasn't ready to laugh yet. And he goes, all right. And I don't think he still understands it, but that's just where I was.
That's okay.
I was going through a grieving process. I had to get through that. And that's why I say, don't demand anything out of anybody. You know, you may have a suggestion. Would you like to go with me here? Do you want to go for a walk with me? Or like you said, just be there. Sometimes people, need a little coaxing. I know Alex happens to be one of those. Sometimes you have to make mention, would you like to go for ice cream? Okay?
Bribery. It's called bribery.
Yeah. Because sometimes it's like...
sometimes you have to work with their mind.
Exactly.
You work around their problem, their issue, and we'll work this out. We're a mom.
You got it. But we wish you the absolute best. Keep getting that message out. Keep sharing it on Facebook because your little innuendos. I can always tell where you are in the cycle. And it helps me know when not to say something and when to say something. And again, I thank you for some of the direct words that you shared with me when I was going through my depression. It's not that you were... I'm going to use the word mean. Because in the beginning it sort of felt that way.
Uh-huh.
But you knew that you could be direct with me. It was, you know what? It's not necessarily them, Karen. It's look at yourself. Get away from what you need. Go to what you need. Don't stay where it's bad for you. And that's exactly what you said when you came in today. You've got to get away from what affects you.
Gotta recognize it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard.
Well,
sometimes people think they need, that's, getting beat on is what I need, but it isn't. That's depression, though. That's the depression.
And we see that in abusive relationships.
They beat down so far, it's easier to give up than keep fighting sometimes.
Well, I want to wish Bradley the best, too. I think that there's a lot of good that's going to come in the future, and you've got a great mom who's there to support you every step of the way. So keep up the good work, guys, and let us know
you want to say that?
How things are going with the future baby. Can I read this? They just wrote something for me to read. It says, requests are more supportive than commands. Commands feel forceful, which pushes the depression harder down. Questions give options, and more options mean less chance for depression to work on you. I love that.
That's what you work with when you have somebody that has bipolar, whatever. You don't demand anything. And you work around.
And I have to tell you something, Bradley. It wasn't until I went through my depression that I actually understood this and changed how I talked to Alex. Up until then, it was, Alex, I need you to do this.
Did you have trouble not raising him as much as it had to be different, raising him and understanding why he did things? And
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Well,
trying to say.
It's interesting that you say that because...
Is he your only child?
he has a brother who's 50. I'm glad you asked that question because maybe he's listening. Alex has an older brother who's 15 years older. And 5 years ago, his brother walked out of our lives. We're not exactly sure why he walked out of our lives. And that has caused a lot of depression for Alex. Alex looked up to his older brother and basically idolized him. So that hasn't helped quite a bit. But as far as raising Alex, when Alex was diagnosed on the spectrum, 1 out of 150 children were considered on the spectrum. Today, it's 1 out of 68. Mm-hmm. So back then, there wasn't a lot of documentation, and
he is how old?
He'll be 25 on Monday.
Bradley's 23.
Okay.
And he could have been diagnosed younger.
Yep.
And Alex probably could have been diagnosed young, and then you can
and things may
mold it a little bit different.
Exactly. And Alex wasn't diagnosed with bipolar until he was almost 10. So
wow, you got lucky
autism
there,
at 6, and then his bipolar, and so it was a whole mixed bag. And he was given behavioral therapy, not cognitive therapy, which we have now learned it should have been cognitive therapy.
We need to do a thing on bipolar.
And what happened because of behavioral therapy, his dad and we have 2 different ways of looking at things. His dad grew up in a family where things were very laid back. And if you did something wrong, as long as you came to mom and dad immediately and told them, your punishment was not as severe. In my family, no matter when you told mom and dad, you got the same punishment. And so my husband's theory of bringing Alex up has always been, just tell me and we'll deal with it. Whereas my way of thinking is, you do things right the first time, not the second time,
and that works great without somebody that
exactly.
That bipolar
and even though I tried to modify that, it was difficult because of my upbringing. But what happened was, once I got diagnosed and I started realizing that I was going through depression, I realized I can't say to Alex, you've got to clean the room. You have to take out the trash. You have to get your homework
There's
done.
triggers.
Exactly.
They trigger words, triggers, and sentences to.
So I found that it was easier to guide him, and if he doesn't do it, okay, there are certain things it doesn't make a difference if he does it or not, because it's not worth an argument. And so, even though
you can choose your fights,
the recycling may be something I want him to do every Friday afternoon, if he doesn't do it, I can put it in my car just as easily and drive over to recycling if it really needs to get done. And so I can ask him, I can remind him, I can guide him. 55% of the time he does it. But if it's not important to him, if it doesn't click, he doesn't do it. But the things that are important to him, when it comes to his job, when it comes to the initiative, when it comes to his music, he gets all that done. So the important things he's getting done, and my life is easier because I'm not constantly arguing with him. And I wish I had known that 23 years ago. Yeah. So we all learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was raised a little different than the first 3, so he just learned.
Yeah. But, we all learn. And I've, again, once I went through my, realized that what I had been going through really was depression all those years. If I had realized it, And I think I realized it, I just want to recognize it. But once I recognized it, it was like, okay, now I know how to deal with this. Okay.
It puts a little light on it, but it because of that stigma, it kind of like throws in a monkey wrench on that. Because you don't want to tell somebody you have depression, but at the same time, if you see somebody kind of going through that, you want to go, I have it too. And I don't have that. You might want to check into that.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I can freely now tell people the same way Alex can freely tell people that he's on the autism spectrum.
Something not to be embarrassed about.
Right.
It's a fight that you fight every day. And like I've posted on my Facebook, it's like a warrior standing on top of a hill when you beat one of them. You'll never beat the whole war. No. But it's a battle that you're standing at the top of the hill and you finally can go, yes, I did another one. I fought it again.
Exactly. Well, again, I want to thank you both for being on here. We will get this posted today. And what people are going to see when they tune in, they're going to see a group of famous people, including Abraham Lincoln, who suffered from depression. Mm-hmm. So it's not just a syndrome that is new to the 21st century. It's been going on for a very long time, and you don't have to be a comedian and wealthy to be depressed, and you don't have to be somebody living on the street being depressed. It can be anybody, anywhere, anytime. So thanks again, and when that those two babies are born, we're going to have to do another show and let them cry in the background. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.